I love Toby Keith.
Yeehaw! I didn't know you had it in you. I didn't know you like the country music, Dan.
Texas is a good choice. Clearly, it's a good choice. Number 2 on the move-in list, right behind Tennessee this year, according to U-Haul. And state representative down there named James White, he's in East Texas. Now, I know West Texas is Friday Night Lights, Odessa.
Yeah, I know. I used to live in El Paso.
What's East Texas?
East Texas is Texarkana. I don't know. East Texas.
Well, we're going to find out.
We
Representative
sure
James
are.
White is state representative, District 9 in state of Texas, chairman of the Texas House Corrections Committee. Maybe East Texas is known for kicking ass.
Yeah.
Representative
names.
White, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hey, thank you so much, and thank y'all for thinking about me and having me join you this morning.
Yeah, it's our pleasure. So you penned this piece over at thefederalist.com explaining why you support the rights of lawmakers to bear arms on the job. And I got to tell you, I could probably go along with that for Texas legislators. Now, in Illinois, in the Chicagoland area, picturing these Barney Fife legislators we have roaming around the Capitol with guns, I don't know if that would work out so well.
Well, thank you so much for that, and we're extremely proud to represent 5 great counties in East Texas: Polk, Tyler, Jasper, Newton, and Hardin counties. And we would just say, as long as those colleagues of mine in Illinois are law-abiding citizens, we think they should obviously exercise their right. It's a right that they already have. They should exercise their right and extend that right to their citizens as well.
Hey, I know you're, Texas polite, but I got to tell you, you don't want to claim these legislators up here as your colleagues. You don't want that stink on you. So, be careful how you're throwing that term colleague around.
Okay.
So you actually picked up this issue, this newly elected Colorado Congresswoman named Lauren Boebert carrying her weapon on the grounds of the Capitol, and she was criticized. Actually, she's gotten more than criticism. There have been some suggestions by Democrat Socialist members of the House that she was, in on the planning to assault the Capitol because she did a tour of the Capitol with some constituents the day before the violence occurred. So your defense of Representative Boebert and articulating a little bit more beyond just constitutional rights, why this would be important for lawmakers to be seen as exercising their right to bear arms.
Yes, and actually, reading and listening to some of the comments of one of her Democratic colleagues sort of smacks as sexism because his point was he seems to have been lecturing this young woman who seems a very accomplished American. I mean, she's a business owner, she's a mother, she's a wife. I'm just wondering, what type of sexism is that when you have a male colleague actually telling you how to exercise your rights and how to, provide your own security for you and your family.
Yeah, that sounds like mansplaining to me.
Yeah. What about that, right? But look, I just think we're in a very perilous time. Okay, we're a perilous time for all of our rights. Our First Amendment freedom of religious rights. We're in a perilous time, obviously, for our freedom of speech rights. Oh, yeah. And we're in a perilous time when it comes to our Second Amendment rights. And I think it has to be more than just passing laws and say you're fighting for it. As legislators, especially state legislators, we're going to actually have to start exercising these rights to affirm that these are rights that we already have. They've been granted to us. No, they haven't been granted to us. These are basic human rights granted to us by our Creator. And the best thing that government can do is protect these rights. So we got to step up and do more and exercise and let people know that we're actually exercising these rights, not just up here just making rhetorical arguments.
Now, James White, I know you're in the state house in Texas, but when you saw what unfolded on the Capitol January 6th, Were you hoping that, more of the congressmen and women lawmakers could have fought back and been able to carry on that
Well,
particular day?
well, look, I would say to your answer, just a quick answer. They should be able to have all of the tools that we expect law-abiding people to have, that want to have, to protect themselves. But in the context of the Texas legislature, and I heard some of your chat about Texas before you brought me on. One thing to know about the Texas legislature: our law-abiding Texans that have a concealed handgun license, a concealed license, they don't even have to go through the, sort of like the body scan. They don't have to take their bags through any type of heightened checkpoint when they come to the Capitol. All they do is they flash their license, and we know that is a law-abiding Texan that has underwent a very rigorous background check to get that concealed license, and they just come straight through.
Mm-hmm.
I am very confident and proud that when constituents come to my office, when they come to the state capitol and sit in the gallery, they're probably packing. Okay, so this is something we've been doing long before any of these incidents that have happened over the past few days.
There's some legislation that's already circulating within the House that would provide for licensing of firearm and ammunition possession, the registration of firearms, prohibit the possession of certain ammo. Representative Sheila Jackson Lee, she's from Texas.
Yeah.
I know that's not something you're probably celebrating. She wants you to have to register your firearms by a federal license to buy or possess firearms or ammunition. Federal license. How do you think that would fly at the legislative level in Texas?
It wouldn't fly at all. It would be I guess what we call a streamer. That would go down big. But this is so sad. This is so sad that our elected officials, with all of the problems that we have in our country, is more regulations and bureaucracy for law-abiding Texans, law-abiding Americans. We need to be focusing on things that matter, like digging this economy out of the ditch. Before this Chinese virus came to our shores, my friends, we had one of the strongest economies, maybe not the strongest in history, I don't know, but definitely one of the most strongest economies in our nation's history and throughout the world. We were ushering in an era of peace by bringing our troops home from fighting endless wars for years and years and years. And it seems like the only thing that we can focus on is how we can make life more bureaucratic and more burdensome and more unconstitutional for the people that really matter, and that's law-abiding Americans.
In New York State, state legislator has introduced legislation to ban the private ownership of bulletproof vests. When you hear about legislation like that, what do you think? What do you think that New York State legislator and his supporters are trying to do?
Well, that's just asinine. What is the goal of prohibiting the purchase of bulletproof vests? These things are just asinine. They will have no impact on crime. They will have no impact on public safety. This is just more leftism, virtue signaling with these pieces of legislation. But we need to watch out. I mean, because when a bill is filed, that means it has a chance to pass. So you can't just say, "Oh, it's just crazy. It'll never pass." Well, it's out there, and in the places that these pieces of legislation are being passed, and the senior legislators that are passing this legislation, you've got to watch it, and we've got to defeat it.
I wanted to just get you to offer perspective on the political culture in Texas, because I think it's so interesting. When you're in a state like Illinois, where we live, you lose sight of the fact that not everybody lives like this. We have a professional political class here, right? I think, like the second highest paid legislators. You vest for a pension after 8 years, so on and so
You can
forth.
get double pensions if you're.
And in Texas, the legislature meets once every 2 years. You pass 2-year budgets.
400.
You have basically a stipend. Everybody has to have a real job because you can't live on what you make as a legislator. Just speak to that culture down there.
Okay. Well, and let me be totally honest about it. It's one of the greatest deliberative bodies in the world, and I'm just honored to serve in this capacity. By constitutional mandate, we're only paid $600 a month throughout our term. We meet 140 days every other year on an odd number year. The governor can call us back for special sessions, but he must call us back for a specific agenda. So, we just can't just come in and just go wild. Okay. We can only, we can send him anything, but the only legislation that he is even constitutionally subjected to consider for passage is what's on his what we call the special call. Now, when we're in session, we are provided a daily per diem. Okay, I can't remember what it is. I don't know if it's 130 or 150 or that sort of thing. But to your point, you just don't kind of remember a lot of this stuff because it's just $600 a month anyway, right? And we do have an opportunity to get vested after 8 years for a retirement program. But I'm told that the average tenure of a member of the legislature is about 4 to 5 years anyway. So not very many of us, throughout history have reached that 8-year mark.
No incentive. Right.
Yeah,
So
but putting that aside, it's the idea, folks, that you come back home and you really have to live your life, run your business under the crazy laws that you have passed for everybody else.
And people wonder why so many people are moving to Texas. Isn't that interesting?
It's not a surprise.
And just to confirm, because not everybody's been to Texas, just to confirm now, despite the fact you only meet once every 2 years, you only make $7,000 a year as a legislator, so forth. People rotate in 4 or 5 years. You don't have a state income tax. Despite all that, you do have schools. You do have police departments, fire departments.
Yes.
You do feature those things in Texas, right?
Yes.
Okay.
We
Just
try to
checking.
value local discretion and local control when it's constitutional. Okay, a lot of people, too many people tend to think local control is sacrosanct, but it's not. It still has to be constitutional and responsible to the people of Texas. But yes, we have police departments, we have fire departments, we have city governments, we have all of that. But most importantly, we have Texans that are living under the auspices of individual freedom. You don't need government every day, 24/7 of your life, running every aspect of your life to have a prosperous and free environment.
Representative James White, State Rep, Texas House District 9, Chairman of the Texas House Corrections Committee as well. Representative White, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you. God bless.
God bless to you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Connect with Dan and Amy on the AM 560 The Answer mobile app. Just text the word app to 64636 to download the app today.
Balance of Nature's fruits and vegetables in a capsule, changing the world one life at a time.
I am 73. I work 40 hours a week. I take Balance of Nature pretty much religiously. One day, about 2 weeks ago, I cleaned a house that was 3.5 hours, another one that was 2.5 hours, another one that was 3.5 hours, and then I cleaned a commercial building and then cleaned half of another building. I got home at 10 o'clock at night. And who can do that at 73? Balance of Nature actually gives me quite a bit of energy. It's just amazing that fruits and vegetables could actually fix your problems. I don't have to have like coffee